Welcome back to Mind Trick Media. Today, I have some updates for you. So, I know last week I told you guys we were going to be covering The Ninth Jedi. What ended up happening was we were going to cover half of it this week. But I fucked up the schedule this week. I went and did stuff with my mom. Don't regret it. It was awesome. Went and I went and saw Star Wars things. Where we live, we don't live too far from the National Air Force Museum. Is that what we're going to call it? That's what we're going to call it, National Air Force Museum. And they had an exhibit there that was a little small, but it was a Star Wars exhibit, and they had what would be considered a life-size, not a TIE fighter, it more looked like Darth Vader's, I forget what that's called, his fucking ship. And then they had an X-Wing there. Super cool if you live in the area, Ohio, Indiana, even Illinois, Michigan, whatever. I check it out, super cool. Check out the rest of the museum. The museum is massive. It's the history of the Air Force and or aircraft in United States military history. Really, really cool. Yeah. So we're gonna cover Ninth Jedi next week, all of it instead of half of it, and then yeah, I think that's about it. I will say in the following weeks, me and Jordan are gonna have some updates for you guys. Might be changing some stuff around, trying to figure stuff out. But yeah, when we get to that, we'll get to that. Back to Star Wars, back to this episode. So we're looking at Screen Rant again today. We're looking at the 15 best Star Wars books of all time. Now, I have read... how many books have I read? More than 10. Probably 15 to 20... Star Wars books. In the last couple years, I would say it's a little bit less than 15, but obviously throughout my whole life, I've read a decent amount, going through school. I was always someone that would either picking a sports book or Star Wars book, if you can imagine. So yeah, I remember when I was in elementary school, I bought a book series. It was this really cool book trilogy that the front of it was this fiery Darth Vader, kind of like this image that's on the screen, this fiery Darth Vader, and inside were 3 books. It was the Book of Darth Vader, the Book of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and the Book of Luke Skywalker. All 3 of those, which that Book of Kenobi might be that. I don't actually know. I'm assuming these 3 books are going to be in here. But lost track of how many I've read, but I've read a lot. I'd love to read more. Hopefully there's some good suggestions on here to read. I know there's a couple of the heavy hitters that I've read, but then there's a couple of things that I haven't. I know I have not gotten into a lot of the High Republic era. I definitely have not gotten into the post episode 4, 5, 6, any of that. And I know they're making books all the time. There's some great authors. I know an author I see right here that I recognize is Claudia Gray. She's written a couple books, at least one book that I've read. Don't remember what it is, but maybe it's on here. So, we're going to get into this top 15 list. Alright, number 15. Inquisitor, Rise of the Red Blade by Delilah S. Dawson. So, I have seen this book. I do not think I own this book on my shelf or, excuse me, or, ebook. I can't think of what it's called. An audiobook of it. I will say I do read a lot of audiobooks. They're easy to listen to at work. I've not read this book. Okay, so kind of a little background. Maybe I'll read some of these. Why, if I don't recognize the book, why would a Jedi Knight become one of the Imperial Inquisitors? That's the question that she dove into. Okay, yeah, kind of exactly what I thought. It's going to be a deep dive into the Inquisitors. I feel like this would be a pretty good book. I don't know if I would per se love this book. It'd have to be because for being honest, a lot of the recent books I've read are audiobooks. Something about some of the audiobooks that's really cool is like the acting of an audiobook, which Star Wars books typically do pretty well. They have actors who read for different parts of characters. A couple of the studios are really good. But yeah, like sometimes it's hard to get into books. I'm not the biggest. I wouldn't say my attention span is bad, but I have a big issue with like reading books. We're learning more about me than what about Star Wars, but I feel like I do this thing with books a lot where I'll read a page, a paragraph, 2 pages, 3 pages, and then my mind will wander in the sense that I try to think about the book and what's happening in the book and try to see, like, make predictions for myself, like it's going to go this way, going to go that way. And then I make this, like, false narrative in my head that then, like, I then have to reread all 3 pages because now whatever story I made in my head is not what's happening in the book. And it's not just a Star Wars thing, that's just a lot of reading with me. I've kind of dealt with that my entire life. Surprised that I'm like a decent reader or did well in school with that. Which actually just meant I reread the same thing like 3 times, which maybe helped, but anyway, yeah. This book seems interesting. I don't know if it'd be at the top of my list, but sounds pretty cool. Okay, number 14, New Jedi Order: The Unifying Force by James Luceno. That name looks familiar too. So this is a Legends book. That cover is creepy. Obviously we have Lando, Leia, Han. I'm assuming this is Mara Jade and Luke and his children. So obviously it's what the book's going to be about. 2003. I was not even born yet. It's about the Yuuzhan Vong War. Okay, yeah. Did I read this book? No. I think I read, because some precursors to this series is like the Thrawn trilogy, which I have read. But, yeah. Is a master of continuity and weaves the many plot lines of cast members. So this I'd be interested in, for sure. The Unifying Force, the New Jedi Order. Definitely some cool covers and stuff like that. This guy looks interesting to me. I don't know who this is. But, yeah. See, this would definitely be higher for me than the other book. This probably leads into, like, Jason and Jaina Solo and that whole bit. Haven't read this. I think this is one of the series that I was talking about earlier. The New Jedi Order is one of those, like, I guess this is technically after 4, 5, and 6, but, like, I've read books after 4, 5, and 6, but I have not read anything that's, like, post 7. That's what I should have clarified that. Because, this is definitely interesting to me, though. I might have to check this book out. Looks good. Kenobi. So, I don't know if I've read this book or not. The name doesn't sound familiar. Kenobi was published long before the TV show. It is told a story of Obi-Wan Kenobi on Tatooine, a favorite novel. Kenobi tells a different story from the TV show, focusing more on Tatooine than other planets. It's set during the early days of Obi-Wan's self-imposed exile. Yeah, this... I honestly am sitting here thinking, I read that one trilogy I was talking to you about. I don't know what the name of that book is, and if this is what this was about or not. I remember the Luke one pretty well. The Luke one was definitely about his confrontations with him and Vader, like in between episodes 5 and 6, if I remember correctly. The Kenobi one, I really don't remember the Kenobi one. And then the Vader one was a lot about, like, Vader's personal, like, stuff that was personally happening to him during, like, 4, 5, and 6, which, obviously, this book's also in that time frame, which makes sense. This might have been the book. Like, this looks familiar. God, I might have to give this book another read. I read those... I probably read those books over 10 years ago. So, yeah. Conflicts between moisture farmers and Tuxan Raiders, all the while asking what a role Jedi should have in this new galaxy. Maybe this is what I read. Anyway. Lost Stars by Claudia Gray. Claudia Gray, like I said, 1,000,000% I've read books that she, like, definitely that she's written. I have not read this book, though. Set over the course of 16 eventful years in the Star Wars timeline, tells the story of two ordinary citizens of the galaxy whose love story is torn apart by the Galactic Civil War. Both grew up on the Outer Rim on, Jellican, where they gradually fell in love. See, this book is not for me. I could, like, I'm not going to say never. I definitely think I wouldn't like this book, though. Or it would never be my first choice. They may end up on opposing sides in the I kind of feel differently now. Events from the tragedy from Hoth to Endor and even Bond at Jakku. Never mind. Took me back out. Yeah, I'm not a big love story guy. And anything. Like, I don't hate love stories, but typically they're predictable and usually very far-fetched. Like, a lot of the... Which I've never really read. Holy crap. Read a love story book, from what I know of them and then what I know of movies. They typically are the biggest pieces of shit when it comes to explaining what love is or how love feels. It's like a fantasy land to me of how people actually feel. Obviously, that's coming from the guy's perspective. Someone who's been in a really pretty long relationship at my age. Yeah, there's just... This wouldn't be for me. This probably be the lowest on the totem pole. Alright, number 11. I, Jedi by Michael A. Stackpole. I, Jedi. Okay. Cool cover. Is that supposed to be Luke? A rare case of a Star Wars book being written from a first-person point of view. Ooh, that's interesting. 1998! Holy shit. Following the Corellian pilot and later Jedi Corran Horn, I, Jedi. Inherit the mantle from one's family. The book doubles as a partial retelling of the events of the Jedi Academy trilogy. It tells the story of Horn's quest to free his imprisoned wife, Murix. Ooh. A Jedi trained by Luke. Kind of back in. Is one of the main characters. Okay, so I have not read this series. I've heard that it's really good. I have not read this. So I would have to read this series first. I'm down. Like this. Sorry about that. I don't that cut me off so bad. Yeah, so this book is probably higher on the list. I, Jedi. I've never heard of this book. Old too though. So that means it's either really, 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 really good or fucking mid. Anyway, moving on to number 10, Shatterpoint by Matt Stover. That name looks okay. That name looks familiar. Don't know where from, but it does. This is definitely a book. I think I might own this book on audio. I have not read it yet, though. Still came out before I was born. Multimedia project ran from... Yeah, this is when they started doing a bunch of these novels where they were like individually about characters or events during the Clone Wars. Yeah, Depa Billaba, yeah. Did I start this book? It sounds familiar. Anyway, this is definitely a book that's on my radar. I know there's a Yoda book as well. I don't think I've finished that book. I think I started that book. But yeah, I really like these type of novels where they like deep dive into a character and like a certain mission. I just think it really, really brings out like a lot about the character. Obviously, a lot of these books are non-canon, but like they go about it in a way that could be canon. So I think a lot of these authors do a really good job of giving backstories that just fit the character's personality and can give them like background emotions and events that you can reflect how they've made decisions. Like, and obviously, like, the movies came out, they've made decisions. They can go back and write stories that go, okay, that might be what they thought about when they chose that story. I know Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, there's a book called Master and Apprentice that we've covered on this channel. I don't know if we covered the Kenobi book. I think we did. But with his storyline, like a lot of what happens in that explains who he is as a character later on as well. This book's definitely high on the list. Probably will get read at some point. All right, number 9, Victory's Price by Alexander Freed. This, I have no clue any of this. An Alphabet Squadron novel. The Alphabet Squadron trilogy is one of Star Wars canon's crowning achievements. The 3 books in it are well loved by fans, by both canon and legends. Victory's Price by Alexander is the compilation of it all as the 3rd book in the trilogy. Finish the story of the trilogy in a beautiful and nuanced way, exploring difficulties that come from ending a war. Okay. Ends with the Battle of Jakku, just a year. That's weird. When was this written? Okay, so it's post 789. That's why Jakku is on here, but it's not about Rey Jakku. Huh. I've never heard of this series. That might be like fucked up of me, but I've never heard of this series. I should probably check this out. Sounds pretty interesting. Number 8, Light of the Jedi. See, this is the High Republic series. It's always this like art style. I have not read any of these, and yeah, these are new. The High Republic introduced the readers High Republic area, period between 500 to 100 years before the Skywalker saga. Yeah. Light of the Jedi begins with an immense hyperspace disaster which wreaks havoc across the galaxy. Jedi responds to it in a spectacular fashion, truly showcasing them at their height. This all further builds into a conflict that tests and changes the Jedi into what we see them in prequels. Acolyte takes place during the same... that just pissed me off. Anyway, yeah. As long as you know the Acolyte people, which I would assume they're not there. Yeah, I've heard good things about these books. Haven't gotten to them. Definitely a lot of books before I get to these books, but I've heard good things about these. Number 7, Phasma. I have no interest in reading this. 2017. Yeah, it's just her background. Sorry, I don't even know if I want to talk about this. It's just not something I'm interested in. Alright, number 6, Darth Bane, Path of Destruction by Drew Caprician. Fantastic book. I'm pretty sure this is the first book. It is. So, for these books, I think the first book is probably the best well-written. The second book is the worst book of the 3. It's a lot of dialogue and stuff happens, but it just sucks to say it's the worst of the 3. It's still a great book. The third book is probably the most. They dive into more action and stuff, and a lot of stuff that means a lot to the Star Wars we know more, the Rule of Two stuff. Kind of ends. The start of the Rule of Two ends in this book, or is at the end of the trilogy. The first book is absolutely fantastic, though. Dude, I can't even explain to you, like, more. Like, this is one of the best books that I've ever read. If you are a Star Wars fan, I highly, highly recommend reading this trilogy. It covers Darth Bane starts kind of in his young adult years, but goes over his childhood and then into him becoming Darth Bane. This is Jordan's favorite book series. They're absolutely phenomenal. I don't know what this says, but this is in the Clone Wars. But it's an origin story, how the Rule of Two became necessary. Sith, dude, the way that they talk about the Sith and like holocrons and Sith history in this book is fantastic. This is a must. If you're a Star Wars fan, this is a must read. It's a must read. I would say that there's probably three, if we want to count the trilogy, count another three, so six. Six, seven. There's like 7 or 8 books that are like, I think, Star Wars must reads, and this trilogy is. Personally, I want to put it as 1, 2, 3, but it's probably 4, 5, 6, just because there's another trilogy that everybody knows, a lot of people listen to, or read. This is probably, if you've read the Thrawn trilogy, one of them's going to be on here. If you've read the Thrawn trilogy, and that's all you've read, this is your next read. Read this book. And read the trilogy. It's absolutely fantastic. Bloodline by Claudia Gray. Never heard of it. So obviously it follows Princess Leia. There's a massive time gap between the trilogy and the sequels. Focused on Leia Organa, revealing what happened to her in the waning years of the New Republic. Before the rise of the First Order, Leia was a vocal opponent of the remilitarization of the Republic, setting her individual systems to improve their own defenses. Ooh. Oh, this is like a weird book. It's set 6 years before Star Wars: The Force Awakens. It fleshed out the politics of the New Republic. Huh. I would definitely say the Thrawn trilogy bleeds from this. No, this bleeds from the Thrawn trilogy. It covers her diplomacy and stuff. This book definitely sounds interesting. I love Legends Leia is 300 times the character she is with live action, and she's a fantastic live action character. That book seems pretty interesting. Here we go, Heir to the Empire. Yeah. I mean, dude, these books are fantastic as well. Came out, it literally, created the expanded universe. It's so good. Released in 1981, Heir to the Empire started the formal expanded universe and therefore established a lot of iconic elements. Thrawn wasn't the only one to be introduced. Mara Jade's in this book, or in this series. Dude, this book trilogy is also just fantastic. I would say that this trilogy is 1, 2, 3, and then followed up by Darth Bane's trilogy is 4, 5, 6. Those are the 6 books I would recommend to every single person. Okay, this is where I knew Matt Stover from. Revenge of the Sith novelization. I've read this. It's the only novelization of a movie that I have read. It basically, it is a background of a lot of the events of Revenge of the Sith from the eyes of Padme, Anakin, Obi-Wan, what they're thinking, doing. There's actually a lot in this book that explains events that happen in the movie better. Kind of a lot of the thoughts of Anakin in certain moments, the thoughts of Obi-Wan in certain moments, the thought of Palpatine in certain moments. This is definitely, like, if you are a prequels person, this is definitely a good read. There's a stark difference between it and what you actually watch on screen, but it is a very, very good book. Alright. Number 2, James Lucena. I knew I recognized that name. I don't know if it was said earlier or not, but anyway, Darth Plagueis. This is book number 7 that I think is a must-read. It's the book of Darth Plagueis. I will say this is maybe one of the most difficult, like, it's not difficult, but it's so dense, of Star Wars, midichlorians, the Force, how the Force works for the Sith and the Jedi. This is a fantastic. I'm so surprised this made the list, and it's number 2. But this book is absolutely fantastic. Darth Plagueis is a true lore master. Oh, they're talking about the guy. Published 2012, serves as a beautiful finale to the entire expanded universe. Darth Plagueis, while taking place before the film, serves as a perfect central capstone. Prequel. Yeah, dude, this has a lot of background of Palpatine and Plagueis and their relationship and how they affected the events to unfold. He was behind all the events of The Phantom Menace. I didn't even read that yet. It was coming out of my mouth. What a great book. Great read. I would definitely read this book as well. Fantastic. Number 1, New Jedi Order, traded by Matt Stover. Okay, did not know. So Matt Stover's coming up again. I have not read this book. This is in one of the series we're talking about, the New Jedi Order. 2002. Damn. Oh, this is part of that. The Yuuzhan Vong War and Yuuzhan Vong. I don't know how to say this. Sorry. But Jason Solo, son of Han Leia, how he becomes a Sith Lord. A lot of people love these books. If I had read these books, this would also probably be in that top 10 of read whatever this is, trilogy. The 13th book, Never Fucking Mind. Oh my god. I did not know there was that many books of this. I got a lot of reading to do. I would assume this book is absolutely fantastic. Like, I know, like, a lot of the background of Star Wars knowledge post 4, 5, and 6 comes from this series and comes from the Timothy Zahn series. Like, I can't even... This book is probably fantastic. Yeah. I think this is a pretty good list. There's a couple that I wouldn't put on here. I know they didn't probably want to put all 3 Darth Bane books or multiple New Jedi Order books, or like there's a Darth Revan book that's really good, a Darth Malgus book that's really good that I've read. I mentioned the Obi-Wan books. There's a really good that we covered. Why am I blanking? It is a Asajj Ventress book. That book is really good too. Her, Dooku, Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Quinlan Voss. That book is really good as well. Definitely, I don't care what everybody says, this is better than the Phasma book because it matters. But yeah, so this was a really good list though. A lot of books I've heard of and or I've read that are really good. So yeah, definitely check out this book, the Timothy Zahn Thrawn trilogy, and check out the Darth Plagueis books. Yeah, so thank you guys for tuning in this week and listening to this list and kind of me talking about some of the books. We haven't done a book series in a while. I don't know. We've talked about trying to find a new way to do it that's more immersive than us just talking. I know we've mentioned on the podcast a few times, but yeah, we'll definitely have to look more into that. I'm so sorry, guys, for how the schedule has been lately, and you guys have been seeing this background a ton. Yeah, I really hope we can get it figured out and get some stuff moving along. But I just want to say thank you, guys. Really enjoy doing these videos and love talking about Star Wars and talking about stuff in Star Wars that makes me happy and excited to do and listen and watch too. So this has been Mind Trick Media. I will see you guys next week. We should be doing the review of The Ninth Jedi. If not, someone needs to hold us accountable. Anyway, peace. See you guys.